manifested in a multidimensional reality. But to them, I've heard stories, but that's all they are. And so I don't mind helping people with their life stories and getting their life story down if they truly believe what they're saying. But I can say that that is a folk tale because I had to go on a radio show once and talk about what I believed in because I had said I was taken by aliens or taken by extraterrestrials. I used to never use the word alien. I only used extraterrestrials because they look like us. So back in the day, in 2007, I started writing for UFO Digest. And I hadn't heard that sound, but I'm going to turn. It might have been Ken, but I don't know. Ken, I don't think it was you either, but I'm putting you back on. But I would like to say that, yeah, you're back on Ken. We don't know.
I haven't heard any of those sounds.
Really?
Except for the loud signal. I heard the beep sound.
Huh. Well, the beep is me turning you back on. I heard it. Tommy, had you heard that? Sounds like somebody spraying with an airbrush over their keypads.
I usually keep mine on mute no matter what, but I heard it. I heard it all the times that we heard it today.
Okay. So it's something between me and Tommy possibly in the lines, and it does sound like there's somebody else.
There's a rushing air sound coming from our swamp cooler air conditioner coming down inside my little office here. So, but it would be a background air sound.
No,
okay.
I go back and listen, and when I go back and listen to this show, I'll see. Now, Ahmad fell off again. Darn it, Ahmad. Okay, well, Ahmad will come back. He's making sure it's not his, I'm sure. So I'll go back to you, Ken, but I would like to talk about things that we know firsthand, and I would like to start classifying the source, just like Wikipedia makes you cite the source. You can't just go into Wikipedia and start writing about yourself. But how are we going to do this? Because we have our own experiences, and I would think that if someone has experienced something individually, that is their story, their life story. So, developing life stories is one thing, but I have never heard in anyone other than people that already go to the UFO events or listen to David Icke. And we can research the words, but now I have read ancient history, ancient world religions that talked about various old religions, world religions that came from serpents that flew. I do know the ancient mythology, but I don't know that that is fact. So, just saying. But Tommy, Ken asked you an important information while ago about all grays are radiation, but I just want you to know that Dr. Rick Miller came on this show and said he talked to a tall white, and it's now part of this radio history. That doesn't mean it's true, but to him it's true that he went into Area 51 and sat down in front of a tall white. So I found that very interesting because that's part of his, but he wasn't radioactive, just so you know. That's just the only story.
My friend I met personally I met worked up there. He was testing balloons and everything, and that's why he made friends with the children of the tall whites, and they became friends with him. They weren't really friends with the United States people, government, whatever.
Name? That man's name you're talking about. You need to cite your source. Like I said firsthand, and I said Dr. Rick Miller was on my radio show. Who's your source?
Hold on. I'll tell you in 1 second. He's really famous. He's book solid. He's book solid all year long. Charles James Hall.
Yes, I've seen his story on YouTube. Charles Hall.
I met with him.
Very believable character.
Exactly, and his wife's on top with him, 100%. Billy Myers couldn't even keep his own wife agreeing with him. But what I wanted to say is, people, if they go to a lie detector, if they truly believe their story, aren't going to make it go wrong. Some people truly believe whatever they say they experienced, even though it wasn't real. I would say to get the truth out of a person, we have 5 different kinds of truth serum. I would say try 1 or 2 of them on a person. If they can survive that and come out and say the same thing, I would agree that they're telling the truth. I would do it in a second. I would do a lie detector and both. I mean, what I experienced over and over many times in different realities, realms, and everything else, I know a lot of people won't because they know. I would say let's do it to all the people that are on our show and see how many come up true. One last question, TJ, for you. Your husband said a lot of things online, even right before he died. Do you believe him?
I believe it's his story. I know what I experienced.
I said, do you believe him?
I believe it's his story, Tommy.
No, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, do you believe it's true?
I believe it's his story, Tommy.
Okay,
Believing,
all right.
It depends on what you mean by the word believe. I believe it's his story. I know what I experienced with him
if I tell a story, but what we're trying to get to here, what you're trying to do is go beyond the idea of a belief and proving it. So what he said, I don't want to repeat it all on the air, but what he actually said he did and was responsible for, do you feel he actually did it? That's what I'm asking you.
What part are you talking about?
You want me to say him? He said he worked for 37. No,
if he said he did it, then she believed he said he did it.
Okay, he said he killed 144 people for the government.
Actually, he said 135, but that wasn't all. Right.
He also said he flew.
What he said is that was confirmed kills.
Okay, the other thing was he flew the first UFO for the government, the president.
Well, I don't think he said it like that because I know
what's on the radio. Like he said that he sat in the chair. I'm just saying that's what you should believe. That's the closest to you.
I believe that is his story. That's what I'm talking about. The difference between reading a book and citing your source. I could tell the story, but I would cite Thomas R. Morris as my source, just like you just did. You talked about a person that says he was in area, which I happen to know was 54. However, I also know because I have not met him. You met him, but I watched his YouTube. That doesn't mean it's true. The way I would say it is I watched the person that Tommy is talking about on a YouTube. Does that make it real?
It depends if you want to believe it or not. Exactly.
Well, most people fit the truth around what they believe.
Right.
Their truth is going to be, no matter what I say to you, it's not going to convince you what I know or what I believe. So these are things that we need to get, and that's why the intelligence officer that visited me today, that's been all over the world, told me just stick to the facts. And because I represent the intelligence community most of my life, I feel that presenting fact-finding is a very important part of journalism and the Allied Command. And what we're doing is when we talk on a panel, I believe, just like if it was, Ahmed, you're back on, just like if it was, and I've seen this on television, I've seen on YouTube where Andrew Basiago is sitting at one end of a panel and Richard Dolan is sitting at the other. And I believe since they were on a panel for one of the events, that there's gotten to be controversy. And in between them was William Tompkins, Dr. Michael Salla, and I believe Corey Good or Emery Smith. I'm not sure which one. They sort of came into the picture. That doesn't mean I believe any of them. However, out of all of them, I would believe Richard Dolan because I've read his books and seen how he cites his sources on the data that he collects. He's a data collector and a historian. So everybody else, I don't know. So that's why I'm doing this with you and Ken and Ahmed. I want to believe that each one of us is smart enough to believe what we say is our truth as truth seekers. However, I'm just saying cite your source because radiation on all grays, I can't believe that. But then I haven't been around a gray that's radiated. Ahmed, you're back. It's your turn.
Yeah, as far as radiation, as far as radiation is concerned, let's take a look at our galaxy. The closer you get into the center of our galaxy, the more radiation there is. So anything that comes from closer to the galactic center would have higher radiation in their system. I mean, everything is radioactive. We are all radioactive. It's the amount of background radiation that we carry. So the closer an entity that exists is to the center of the galaxy would have a higher radiation count than we do.
And I don't know if anybody that goes around with those Geiger counters, but that's what we always saw in the old movies. So that's what I think of. I've never used one, by the way, as an investigator.
If you walked in with a radiation detector and checked the food.
You can check food and wood too, right? I've seen it on television. You can hold it up next to anything. They had something up against some cereal on a television show the other day, and I was shocked. It had radiation in it. So, Ahmed, can you explain, you're just saying general, and Tommy, we're all going to talk right now in general terms, okay? So generally speaking, what we see, I will say, well, I saw that on TV, or I read that in a magazine, or, you know what I'm saying? That's all I'm asking is to somebody to say. But Ahmed, generally speaking, people with Geiger counters in the radiation, you're saying everything, and I think I've heard that in quantum physics.
Everything has a certain background radiation, regardless of where you are. I mean, it's just a fact of science.
Okay.
It is for a fact. I'd like to jump back in here on talking about the reptilians. I've forgotten who it was that was talking. Maybe it was in YouTube that hadn't commented.
Yeah, I've never seen one. I just know David Icke's story.
Let me spread some little more factual information now. Gentleman's name was Bill Greider, who has passed away, and he was in charge of one of the construction companies that was building the elevator contact down at the northwest corner of New Mexico. I can't think of the name of the base up there.
I think you're talking about Phil.
No, Bill Greider. Greider's his last name. He's dead now. He's passed away.
You sure it wasn't Phil Schneider?
I'm absolutely 1,000 million times positive. Okay.
I've only heard the Phil Schneider story. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, it's G.R. Greider, and he was, and like I said, I knew him all the way up until he passed away, and he was involved in when they were underground, and they actually had a contact and a battle with the underground reptilians and the base underground reptilians there. Now, I cannot, forgive me, I can't. That auto accident has messed me up something terrible. But there's an Indian reservation right there where they have the underground base, and somebody's got to help me out with the name of the base that's up there underground. And
Bill Schneider. It's not Bill Greider. There's Bill Cooper and there's Phil Schneider. And Dulcie.
You're saying, well, I know a Billy Greider. He's in charge of all the communication systems that they put in the underground base there. And he personally verified the fact that he was there with the guys that went down, and the military went down that had the battle out with the reptilians that were down underneath there. So I don't have a problem with accepting the fact that a species of reptilians, we even find that in our ancient civilizations of sculptures and things that have been drawn out as showing what these things look like. So I believe that they do exist. I'm sorry, go ahead.
There's various things in mythology and in our culture, and they're finding out that this planet is millions of years older than they thought, and that it was hit. Right. So we have a history, but also those thousands of years old that the archaeologists are fighting about amongst themselves is the fact that they don't really know what year they're really talking about in a linear timeline, and I'm aware of that. But I do know of the history in the ufology world of many, many stories and many people that have done YouTubes, and I just knew that the story you're talking about, I don't know Bill Greider, but Phil Schneider was very well known for creating holes for the government, and he used TNT Dynamite, and he also
Yeah, there is.
had a
I know what
story
you're talking about.
with the
Yeah, I know
Marines
about-
going down a shaft, and that's
Okay.
why I saw